I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah, lead the way. I follow. No need to say. No. Where we are heading now, babe. I follow. To the edge of it all. To the edge of it. In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No, it's not hard to fool me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah, lead the way. I follow. No need to say. No, where we are heading now, babe. I follow. To the edge of it all.
What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Waiting Table Podcast, where we have roundtable discussions about the hottest topics in weight loss, with, of course, the coolest people from the bariatric community. I'm Rob, waiting in vain. This is Murph, aka Murph's Losing It.
Hey.
Grab a chair, wind down from your busy day, and take a seat at the table. Murph, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Happy to be here. Wednesday night at 9 with Rob and a special guest. I'm just really excited. Got some sleep last night and feeling good today. Doing really good. Yeah. How you guys doing?
I am very, very good, and I am super excited about this show. It's a big one for me.
Yeah, I see you got your hat on. You got your Canadian
you got to
Pride
represent.
hat. Yeah. All right.
Here.
Hey,
Today,
Mary.
not only is our guest a bit of a local superhero to me, at least, and sort of the bariatric fitness community where I am in Ontario, but her story mirrors much of mine in regards to, I think, her journey from athlete before and after bariatric surgery. And for me, our guest continues to push past her physical limits, reinvent herself, and do it all with an amazing smile on her face. So please, everyone, join me in welcoming Ontario, Canada's own Erin at Erin Denton 73, Denton O'Neill, to the table. Erin, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Woo woo.
Thank you for having me.
No, okay. Well, first off, Mary has mentioned that there is an echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing it pretty bad here
Are you?
on myself as well.
I see. All right. So let's make sure.
Welcome to the waiting table where we have technical difficulties almost every show, but we'll get through it. I'm not hearing my echo now, and I'm really just talking just to see if I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Okay.
The echo
We're good.
is part of our show, just like Sexy Time Music is. So-
Right. You can't have the show without the echo. That kind of rhymes.
And technical difficulties.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Erin, thank you so much again for joining us today. For anyone who does not know who Erin Denton O'Neill is, can you please share with us your amazing story?
Hi, Rob and Murph. Thanks for having me. So a little bit about me. I'm a mom, a grandmother, wife, and I'm also a nurse. I grew up being a competitive swimmer and pretty athletic. I did some volunteer swim instructing. I did some weightlifting and running, and I used to lift weight with my dad, who did some bodybuilding and weightlifting. And I really loved doing that and spending some time with him. I never really thought of weightlifting as an actual thing that I could do. So I kind of grew up, I had kids, got married, got my nursing, and started working. My mom was really sick, and I also went into a postpartum depression and ended up on some antidepressants. And as a result of those things, I gained a lot of weight and found myself at about 300 pounds, and I'm 5 foot tall on a good day. So in about 2006, my husband had a heart attack. And when he was in the hospital, it kind of clicked in my head that we needed to do some things to change the way that we lived. And I needed to get healthier. I was also pretty brittle diabetic, and I wanted to change those things. So I started dieting and working out, went to the gym, fell in love with lifting, powerlifting specifically. And I lost a fair bit of weight, probably about 100 pounds, and kept about 80 of that off. Unfortunately, my diabetes wasn't resolved, and it was still pretty out of control. So I did some research and went to talk to my doctor. And as I said, I'm a nurse. So I approached my physician about bariatric surgery as gold standard treatment for diabetes and weight loss. So I wasn't really looking at losing a lot of weight. At that point, with my weightlifting, I got really into powerlifting. In about 2012, I made nationals for the first time, accumulated a whole bunch of Ontario and Canadian records. In 2012, I made my first world championships and came home with silver in bench press, deadlift, and squat, and overall.
That's crazy.
The next 2 years, I continued to compete as a super heavyweight, so over 84 kilograms. And I still got some bronzes and silvers the next 2 years. And then in 2016, I had bariatric surgery. I had Roux-en-Y. So my diabetes did go into remission, and sorry, there's still quite a bit of an echo. The diabetes went into remission, and I did lose some weight. They didn't anticipate that I would lose a lot of weight because I'd already lost quite a bit on my own. So the clinic's goal for me was to weigh 200 pounds at the end of the day. I set my goal at 184 pounds because that was a weight category. And secretly, without telling anybody, I wanted to get down to 158, which was another weight category. So I did that and started competing in the 72 kilogram weight class. It took me a whole lot to gain strength back as I was losing weight. So this was not an easy thing to do. And if anybody who's had bariatric surgery knows, it is not the easy way out. And trying to lift, and I also did some small triathlons and do cardio was quite difficult to do both things at the same time. And be able to eat enough and eat the right things to support lifting was not easy. I, however, did continue to rack up some Ontario records in the 72 class. And a couple years ago, the Canadian Powerlifting Union, International Powerlifting Federation changed the weight categories. And my coach said to me, you can either go up a weight or you can go down. So he said, do you think you can lose 6 pounds? And I said, okay, I've been sitting here in this weight category for several years now. It's not so easy to lose weight, but let me see if I can lose 6 pounds. I lost 30.
Wow.
And went down 2 more weight categories. So if you look at the Ontario Powerlifting Association records in the Masters 1 women, I hold records in a whole bunch of different weight classes. I met some ladies in the summer at a conference and they said, "Oh, you're the one that holds records in all kinds of weight classes. How on earth did you do that?" I said, "Well, so here's my story." So continued to train a whole lot, and I also became a personal trainer along the way. And this past year, I went back to nationals for the first time since 2015. And I ended up with a bronze, very, very close, 5 pounds off of gold. And I was not really thrilled with that. But because of the points that I had received, the way that powerlifting is scored, I did qualify for the national team. So in October, I went and represented Canada in my weight class of 63 kilos. I weighed in at just over 60 kilos, a little bit too low, actually. So I was the oldest and the lightest in my weight class.
That's crazy.
So I did come home with bronze overall and bronze in all 3 of my lifts. And yeah, so that's kind of where I am right now, and just wanting to stay healthy and fit. I've coached Special Olympics powerlifting for, I think, 6 or 7 years now, and love that. And embarking on doing some more personal training.
Yeah.
Even though I still work full time in the nursing field. So yeah.
Wow, that's that's
too much.
Crazy amount of accomplishment. So remember when I was just like, oh, she's like a local superhero in regards to athletics. And so we're both part of this bariatric fitness group in Ontario. And I remember when I joined, one of your posts were some of the first that I had seen. And it was just amazing to see that, because, something I've shared with everyone here is one of my concerns was, after my surgery, would I still be able to train the way I had been previously? Everyone knows that cycling is my big thing. I was doing regular 100-kilometer rides. And I was concerned, would I be able to get the training, the nutrition that I needed to be able to do those types of workouts moving forward? And I know, you had said something similar in regards to your concerns when you had surgery.
Oh, absolutely. I was very concerned I wouldn't be able to lift again. So there's part of me that thought that, and part of me that thought that I would retain all of the strength that I have. And both were true and both were untrue.
Right.
In some ways. So it's, I have maintained my strength in one way, because when I look at the percentage of my body weight that I can lift now is so probably 2.5 times my body weight in a squat. And previously, when I was at my heaviest, it was probably only about 2 times my body weight. So certainly not the same amount of weight on the bar, but more percentage of body weight. I'm also a lot faster. So I don't know if you found that with cardio. My triathlon time, and I just do little tries, and I try to do one every year if COVID doesn't get in the way. And the first year I did one after my surgery, I took 30 minutes off my time. So it was just crazy. So I'm faster just because I'm leaner.
Yeah. I have actually, that's one of the main things I noticed too. Not just, I guess, the term functional strength gets thrown around a lot, right? And I think early on I was sort of skeptical, because I'm like, yeah, you know what? If I'm stronger in general, I could do everything. But It ended up being something that was a focus of mine after the surgery, because my goal after surgery was always, I want to live a life where I'm able to do things with my kids. Coming from the point of view of, hey, I'm in a wheelchair or I'm using a walker. I can't walk down the street with my kids. I can't keep up with them. And so for me, it was very much, I want to live that lifestyle where I'm able to do a lot of things with my kids. And I see one of my pickleball friends joined on. For me, that's one of the big things for me, like being able now to move, play sports again, be able to have that lateral movement and that stability, which I am horrible with right now. But like that stability part is a big thing, because when we're 300 pounds, when we're 380 pounds, we have a lot of deficiencies. We have a lot of biomechanical issues that now, unfortunately, stays with us, right?
Oh, yeah. And absolutely. Like I said, I'm a grandmother. I've also been a nurse that's worked in geriatrics for 30 years. So I see aging. And I didn't want to age the way my clients do. And I wanted to
Right.
keep that functional strength and those functional abilities. And I have a million pictures because everybody told me to take before and after pictures. So I do. And I partly can only see myself in pictures
Yeah.
to understand what I really look like now and what I looked like before. But my favorite pictures of all are, I have a picture of me sitting beside my daughter when she was little, and I weighed about 300 pounds. And I could not get down on the floor and play with her.
Yeah.
I could not run around and play with her. I tried, but it wasn't very good at it. And my favorite picture after is me sitting on the floor playing with my granddaughter. And I can get down on the floor and I can run around after my grandkids. So
Yeah.
I have a granddaughter that's older as well. And I have some pictures of her training in my gym with me. And so those functional things,
Yeah.
I mean, I could get really nitty gritty because I'm a nurse, but being able to get out of a chair when you get older is something that will keep me independent a whole lot longer if I don't gain that weight back and if I hadn't lost it. So functional strength is so important.
Yeah.
Erin, how many children and grandchildren do you have, out of curiosity?
I have 2 of my own, and I have 7 stepchildren. And
You're in Murph territory now.
Yeah, we're a blended family as well.
I have a lot of kids, and I think there are about 11 grandchildren in total.
Wow.
There's a lot.
That's awesome, though. You're blessed, and to be able to be with them and spend time with them and adding the years onto your life, for the 9 kids, 11 grandkids, like that's amazing. Good for you. Good for you.
My parents died very young, at about my age. So I'm thinking it's young because that's how old I am. And I think I'm young. My daughter's 32, and I look at her sometimes and say, how on earth are you 32? Because I'm 32. So my parents died young, and my hope is that I've done something with my health that won't happen to me.
Yeah.
And my mom died of breast cancer. And one of the factors in breast cancer is often being overweight. So hoping that I've improved my chances of living long to be around for my kids and grandkids.
That's awesome.
I think you're definitely on the right track. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Anne, I want to ask you a question. We had this discussion. You're talking about strength and losing some of that strength after surgery, right? And in one way or the other, right? You and I had a discussion about skin removal surgery. You've had skin removal surgery. I've had skin removal surgery. And we both agreed that skin removal surgery was the bigger hit to our training than our RNY surgeries.
Hmm.
Can you share with us sort of your challenges you've had? Because I know a lot of people have had skin removal surgery. I know a lot of people are looking to have skin removal surgery. I thought that it was going to be the easy surgery. Yeah, exactly. Marissa looking for it too.
That's the next step for me, and I am terrified.
Yeah, so like
So-
I thought it was going to be the easy one out of the two, and it was by far, like, I still don't have my core strength post skin removal surgery, and I had skin removal surgery 7 months ago, right? And I find that I'm still significantly weaker than I was before. So yeah, Erin, can you share with us some of the challenges you've had?
Sure. I had a panniculectomy with muscle repair.
Yeah.
I still want other surgery, but that was much more difficult than what I thought. So when I had Roux-en-Y, I had a really easy recovery, and I was able to get back in the gym fairly early. I was fairly easy to be active, fairly easy afterwards. After having the skin removal surgery, I thought I would be fine. I thought, I've had surgeries before. I will be just fine. I was getting married in a couple months. I was going to look great. And it took me probably 6 months till I could bench press properly again.
Yeah.
Wow.
The muscle repair was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I had pain in the beginning, sure, but it was very uncomfortable for quite some time. And to this day, 4.5 years later, I still get discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
It still feels tight, but it really impacted my range of motion and my core strength.
For sure.
So I had it done in May, and I competed in provincials in October. And I was just at that time being able to put my feet on the floor while lying on a bench to be able to bench press.
Yeah.
So I'd been bench pressing with my feet up, which is a great exercise called a Larson press. But I really would have wanted to be able to do a regular bench press. And it took a while.
Yeah. And I don't think people really understand sort of the challenge in that sense, because a lot of times when we're looking at skin removal surgery, we're looking at cosmetically or aesthetically, you get all these benefits. But I think big picture is just like, okay, well, something to consider is, will that affect some of the other aspects of your life, which I don't think we think about, because for a lot of us, that's sort of like, this is the next step, or this is the last step in my journey. But I know with me, like, it really limited me in a lot of ways, right? With my training, I couldn't do it. I was in the middle of my triathlon training. I couldn't swim for a long time. So I found that when I got back on it afterwards, it was a big challenge. As you're saying, like, I've been doing a lot of like functional training. Standing up straight has always been tough as of late, because you do feel that tightness in your incision area, or where you had your muscle repair. Mary had asked a question: is this strictly because of the muscle repair? A bit of both, right? The muscle repair, I think, is a big part of it because of what they actually do with the muscle repair. But I think a lot of it is, you still get a lot of residual swelling. There's still a lot of tightness because of your incisions. I know mine is along my incisions. I had a friend of mine try to pick me up recently, putting their arms around my waist and lifting. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I think you tore it. Because like, I literally felt like it was, oh my God, I had to like hide and check to see. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges, I think, and concerns still afterwards.
Well, when you think of where they cut for muscle repair, for a panniculectomy and muscle repair, I did not have the vertical incision, so I just had a round, but it's still a huge incision.
Yeah.
So it's when your skin is cut like that, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And as well as bariatric patients, our skin tends not to be as healthy as people that have never been overweight.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat just somehow got into my gym and jumped up on me. So our skin's not the same. It doesn't heal the same. Many of them, us including me, is diabetic. So again, you don't have the same healing.
Right.
That makes sense.
I had a very small infection, a very small opening and infection, but some people get wound dehiscence, so the wounds open up, and you would know lots about that, Rob, and treatment for that. But it can get pretty intense treatment if it opens up too much. So there's certainly a risk to take. I would say most of the ongoing pain and the decreased ability to move and the core strength is related to the muscle repair.
Yeah.
So if you were just having the panniculectomy without the muscle repair, you would still have all of that healing to happen, but you may not have that tightness and core difficulty for months on end.
I actually asked if I could not get muscle repair. Like, I think I'll be okay, knowing that was going to be my big challenge. And they're like, okay, well, when we go in there, I'll let you know. You're not going to let me know. I'm under. But
Mary asked another question, and I knew Mary would be on here tonight asking lots of questions.
I told Mary
Thank you.
This is going to be
Thank
Hi,
you,
Mary.
Mary's fantastic. Yeah, if you don't follow Mary, this is the episode for her, and I know she's having a field day with it. She asked, how long ago was your surgery? Robbie said yours was, 7 months ago? Also, what was the recovery time for either of you? Asking for a friend.
From the bariatric surgery or from the
skin I think Mary's talking about the skin removal surgery. When did you say your bariatric surgery was, though, Erin?
About 6.5 years ago.
Okay.
And then had the tummy tuck done 4.5 years ago.
Oh, okay. And then what would you guys say your recovery time was on that? I mean, Rob, are you still recovering 7 months later? You feel like you tore a little bit, and then Erin, what do you think?
You can go ahead, Erin.
Recovery, as far as I went back to work after 10 days. That was probably too soon.
Okay.
I took vacation time and that's all I had. So I went back to work. Driving was difficult probably for 6-7 weeks.
Okay.
And my surgeon thought that I should be back in the gym lifting regularly by 6 weeks. That did not happen. So I had my surgery in May. I got married in August, and I was feeling pretty much back to normal at that point, but I certainly wasn't lifting probably until September, lifting normally. I did compete in provincials that year, which is usually in October. So I was probably, fairly back to normal by then, but it took a while.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was, because I said it took me until then to be able to get my feet on the floor. So yes.
Yeah. I would say the actual closing of your incision, that happens fairly quickly, right? It's sort of everything else in regards to the incision, really bolstering and healing and fully closing afterwards is a big thing. Mary had asked, she had said she's having hers done in December, so she's concerned about getting back into the gym. One thing I would say is do not rush it. I know that I felt good to get back. I was just aching to go back and start training. So I started on the bike, and every time we would meet, my surgeon would be like, oh, do you have any questions? I'm like, my question. And he's like, okay, so at this meeting, you can do this. But I wish I didn't, because I think that certain scars that I have didn't heal as aesthetically pleasing, because I was constantly moving and stretching those areas, right? And so I find that I would probably take it easy. Like, I'm doing a revision actually on December 18th. For an area that opened up a little bit, and yeah, I had committed to myself that I'm not gonna train for a month. We'll see. We'll see. I say that. It's
All
on the
right.
record, guys. I'm not gonna train
All
for
right.
a month. We'll see. That doesn't last.
I would say this. I would say the same for most things. You know,
Yeah.
take your time to get
Yeah.
back at it. Don't
Yeah.
expect yourself to be the way you were right before for a little while.
Yeah.
Give yourself some grace and some time, and
Yeah.
honestly listen to your body.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
it's so
You know,
hard.
we
I feel
always-
like when, yeah, sorry, when you know
No, go
we've
ahead, go ahead.
accomplished, you know, a lot of us have, some of us have accomplished so much, and we want to just hit the ground running every chance we've got. We've got this second lease on life, and you want to just chomp it. You know, I mean, you're constantly chomping at it. Like me, like my son picked me up the other day, 2 weeks ago, and cracked my rib. My dumbass is in the gym a couple of days ago, and I'm starting to lift something, and all of a sudden I'm feeling it, and I'm like, oh God, I guess not ready. You got to trust your body, even though you feel great, you feel like you could, climb a mountain or conquer something, but you gotta trust the process, trust your body, and yeah. Leading from that, Rob, I don't know if you had something to say, but Rod's got a good question, and Mary's got a good question a while back too about diet. I did want to ask Erin about that, but this is kind of related. Rod Farva's comment, I love that name. This is related to the gym. He said down 90 pounds in almost 6 months. Started in the gym lifting weights and have gained 1 to 2 pounds. Is it muscle or is it normal weight fluctuation followed by the gastric sleeve? LOL, so stressful. What would you say about that, Erin?
It could be a whole lot of other things. If it's 1 to 2 pounds, I really wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
My body weight, I take my weight almost every day, and I would not recommend that for people that aren't competing in weight categories. But when I'm competing in a weight category, I need to be in that weight category.
Yeah.
So prior to going to Worlds, I was weighing myself 5 times a day. I can tell you my weight would go up and down 4 pounds within day to day, hour to hour. And so I knew at what time of day I would be at my lowest weight and how to get to my lowest weight at that time of day. But absolutely, it's going to fluctuate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I would say prior to my surgery, when I had first lost weight and I lost about 100 pounds, once I started lifting, I gained back about 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I never went up a clothing size.
That's it.
So I do know that I did gain muscle.
Yeah.
I've certainly gained muscle now. My BMI sits at just below 25, sometimes just above 25. So on some days, I'm still overweight. And if you know women's sizes, I wear a size 0 or a 2.
Okay.
So you know that I'm carrying some muscle. For the first time in my life since I was a teenager, I have abs.
There you go.
Good for you.
So definitely
That's awesome.
It could be a bit of muscle gain. It takes a fair bit to gain muscle as well.
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, I've turned fat into muscle, well, you don't turn fat into muscle. You lose the fat and then you gain the muscle.
Exactly.
It takes a lot to gain weight and muscle. So eventually, if you keep resistance training, you will gain muscle and you will gain weight and muscle. But if it's a pound or two here and there, it could be water, it could be anything.
That's par for the course.
Digestive system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
you
Rod,
just didn't have a good poop that day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What I'd also say, Rod, is if your goal is to gain muscle, then it's going to be more than just lifting weights. And this is the challenging part for bariatric patients is you're going to need that nutrition aspect to gain that muscle, right? It's not just a matter of lifting. It's a matter of increasing overall calories, macronutrients, and the balance that you have with them, which is going to lead to Mary's question. But I do want to also say that Erin had touched upon it, and I say the same thing. My goal at a specific point was I got down to 168, I think, at one point. I'm like, yeah, that's too. I'm 5'10". I was like ribs, I was ribs and skin. I was ET, and I was just like, yeah, my goal is to put on muscle at this point. Like I started training a lot more. I started eating a lot more. I think my calories went up quite a bit. My carb balance, because of the type of training I was doing as well, I was about 50 to 60% carbs actually. And I had gained, so now I'm like at 191, 192. But as you had mentioned, the most important thing is like I do measurements still, right? Like my pant size is still the same as when I was 168, which is 31, 32, 33, depending on brand, right? So those are some of the things you do want to focus on. You don't worry about too much about that number, but if you are filling out, if you are putting on some muscle, but at the same time you're still maintaining that the clothing size or your measurements, then those are good indicators that what you're putting on is possibly muscle at that point.
Yeah, I would say don't really worry about the number on the scale if you don't need to. Worry about how are you feeling, how are your clothes fitting, all of those kind of things. And if you're wanting to put on muscle, eventually, you're going to put on some weight from the muscle, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And your body
for me, I can certainly live with that. I like the muscle, so.
Yeah.
Well, I like what you said too, Erin, if you're not like competitive, if you're not in a competitive mindset, or you're competing for something where you have to weigh in every single day. I am someone who weighs in every single day, and I don't compete. But I have been thinking about switching to maybe a weekly weigh-in or something like that. I mean, maybe that would be a good idea, Rod, for you and maybe myself, because we do get caught up on the numbers sometimes.
Yeah.
But it could be anything, like we were saying. It could be water, it could be a piece of steak. It just hasn't dropped it. Yeah, it could be anything. So, but that's really good advice. If you're not competing, you don't have to weigh in every single day.
You don't, and really it's about how you feel and how you
exactly
take pictures, take measurements. There's all kinds of other good indicators of how well you're doing. But Rob made a really good point. If you're going to be doing resistance training or a lot of cardio, whatever it is you're doing, you're going to need to be able to fuel that properly. And as bariatric patients, that can be difficult. I have managed to increase my metabolism to a degree where I can eat a lot for a bariatric patient. And that is actually not easy. So,
so what are your secrets?
What I do.
What's Erin doing? How do you manage your diet?
I can tell people what I do. I won't tell people what they should do.
Sure.
Because I know different clinics have very different advice. My clinic knew exactly what I was doing. I communicated it very well. I do a lot of research. So I would take things into my dietitian and he would call me an anomaly. So don't do as I do. Listen to your clinic, but I do supplement absolutely with protein powders, and I cook with protein powder. I put it in everything.
Yep.
Okay.
I do tend to keep my protein to about 30 grams per serving.
Okay.
There's lots of debate on whether you can absorb more than that or less than that. And the general thinking is 20 to 40 grams. So I usually stick around 30 per meal and then 20 for what we call a snack.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, I was talking to somebody recently who had this surgery, and they said, snack is a bad word to use. Why don't we just say we should have 6 meals a day and split up our macros that way? And they were saying that snack makes them think of snacky foods and think the foods that maybe we shouldn't eat as often. Instead, a snack can be a piece of chicken.
Yeah.
So I do eat a lot of protein: chicken, beef, a lot of fish, and as well as Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. And like I said, I do supplement with protein powders and protein shakes. I put protein in my protein shakes in my coffee. So I eat protein with every snack and every meal.
Yep. Do you know what because this is a question I know Mary was asking, but it's also a question that I know everyone was thinking about asking is, do you know what your overall intake or your caloric intake or your macronutrient breakdown would be?
Yeah, I do. I try to do a 40-30-30 split. So 40% protein, 30% carbs, and 30% fat. I can eat so many calories right now that I can't eat that much protein. So my split has become more even.
Mm-hmm.
I try to get in 150 grams of protein a day. And my calorie intake right now, I can eat 2,300 to 2,500.
Nice.
Coming off of Worlds, the interesting thing, when I take a couple weeks off training, I lose weight. And I'm not wanting to lose weight, so I can eat basically whatever I want right now, which is a slippery slope.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking, okay, well, this is okay because I need to put on a few pounds here. So I need to be very careful about my macros. And I did track for a very, very long time. I track in my head now, and I know what everything looks like. I know what 3 ounces looks like. I know what 6 ounces looks like. And I track it all in my head. But yeah, pretty much 23 to 2,500 calories now.
Yeah.
Which is a lot for a bariatric client.
Oh yeah.
I know, I remember my clinic telling me 1,200 to 1,500 for life.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. And I think one of the big challenges too is, when you start training a lot, naturally you're burning so many calories, you are going to be hungrier. And I know that this sometimes, like, I know I've had this mindset at times, especially when I was doing all very, very high kilometers on my bike, is like, well, I know I can have a little bit of extra and I know I can enjoy certain things within moderation and still be okay to lose or maintain and do all these other things, especially because I look to time certain meals at certain times based on what my body needs and what it'll be utilized for. Most efficiently, not always the best. But you're right, it's a slippery slope because you're just like, then I've been working out really well. I'm just going to have a bit of this extra and a bit of this extra. And then all of a sudden, those habits that we've been building over the X amount of years or X amount of months since surgery, now we're losing those and going back to the old ways, right? So it's definitely a slippery slope when you are training that much, for sure. Mary says, yes, that is a lot. I'm getting 1,800, but I'm still losing a little weight, so I could eat more.
Yeah, and I say to people, I'm careful about giving advice, but if you're losing and you don't want to be, or you're maintaining, or you want to maintain, then go up very, very slowly to increase your calories. Mm-hmm. Don't say, oh, I'm going to add an extra 500 calories a day on. Go slowly and really track what you're eating so that you really know what it is you're doing, because we often underestimate how many calories is in something and what the macros are in it. And even with my carbs, like you were saying, you were eating 60%
when
carbs.
I was doing,
So I'm pretty sure those were good carbs. And I say good carbs. When I say that, I mean the least processed as possible.
Right. So let's see. I think we got most of the questions. Thank you very much, everyone, for all the questions.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I have a couple more questions. A lot of what we do and a lot of what Murph and I have started the Waiting Table podcast was because of family, because of the importance of family, the whole idea of, bringing family and friends to the table to share moments and experiences and enjoy that time. And I think that because of bariatric surgery and things that we've learned, we're able to do that a lot more. You've done a crap load before and after, right? Look at all the accomplishments that you listed off at the very beginning. How does it feel doing all that while being a grandmother, though? Because at the end of the day, for Murph and I, everything is for family, right?
Yeah.
All these changes, everything has been for family, right?
I have to give credit to my whole family. They've always been incredibly supportive. My husband puts up with a lot. My husband is not a lifter. He helps to coach me when we go to competitions. He spots me in the gym. This takes a lot of my time. I don't know if I would be able to do it if I had little kids, but I have to just digress for a moment, because I would say if you do have little kids, it's even more important that you do it, that you take that time for yourself, because that's part of how I ended up being so heavy, is I forgot about myself and was looking after everybody else.
That's good.
And so take that time, no matter where you are in your life. It's really important so that you will be there with your kids. I was talking to somebody just recently who had the surgery, and they wanted to start working out, and they said, I just have to figure out a way to do it. I got to set up the time. And I said, honestly, first of all, one of the things for me that makes me get in the gym, it is paying someone or paying money. If I'm paying someone, I think, oh, I better go do that because I'm paying them. The other thing is, you don't have to do that, but the other thing is scheduling it. Put the time in your calendar like you would for a doctor's appointment. So if you had to take your kid to a swimming lesson that lasted an hour and you're paying for those swimming lessons, you will show up and take your child for those swimming lessons.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But you might say, I don't think I'll go to the gym today. I'm too busy. If you put it in your calendar, you'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So invest in yourself. I think it's really important that we invest the time in ourselves. So again, I have to thank my family. My kids are obviously grown up, but they are still very supportive. So I'm glad that I don't have to look after little kids while I'm trying to do this, because it does take a lot of my time. And as I said, I work full time, and then do volunteer work and training. And I've been taking a bunch of courses. So it takes time, but you know what? I'm worth it, so that I'm here for my family later on. And I'm thankful to my husband that he is as accommodating as he is, and does spend some time in my gym. I don't know if you can't see part of my gym, but I happen to have a couch in here right now, because my granddaughter moved in, and we put an older one, put a bed in our TV room. So moved the couch out here temporarily, and here it sits. And it's been a great place for my husband to sit to watch me train.
That's awesome.
So, I trying to accommodate him as well. So like you said, family is very important to me. But at the same time, if I'm going to be there for them, then I need to take care of myself. And if I had young kids, I would have them doing things with me. Like I said, I have had my granddaughter in the gym whenever she would come. My younger daughter does train occasionally, but she works in landscaping, so she doesn't really have to train too much because she lifts stuff all day long. But occasionally she'll train with me. So it's important to do things with your family.
Yep.
Absolutely.
My husband will go biking with me.
That's good.
There you go.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think those are some really, really good tips in regards to how to prioritize, because I know that that's the challenge a lot of people. I was working with a mentee at UHN, and one of the challenges is like, okay, well, I have a young kid coming, and I'll prioritize things once I get an idea of how everything is going to go. I said, by all means, whatever you feel is right, but here's some devil's advocate. In order to be that parent for a new child, you're going to have to be your best. You're going to be able to be mobile. You're going to need to be able to have energy. You're going to need to be able to get up and do all the things that they're going to need. And at this moment, you struggle to do that. Right? So, I know you want to prioritize health and all that stuff later, once you get an idea of how everything's going to go, or you can start now and be that better version for when your child comes, right? So very, very good point. And especially the scheduling part, I love that, because you're right. Like, I think one of the big things is you need to understand what's going to motivate you. I think that was one of the turning points for me, having that honest conversation with myself saying, hey, you suck at certain things, or you're very good at certain things. How do I use that to succeed? Right?
Yeah.
Paying people, money makes people do things, just like pain makes people do things, right? So it's sort of like, okay, well, what's going to get me going? What's going to get me working out, right? So I think those are amazing,
Also,
amazing tips.
I think finding something that you love.
Yeah.
That I know you love cycling. I love weightlifting. I had a personal trainer years ago, and he said to me, you need to find something that you love that brings you into the gym. And he made me do all kinds of crazy things. And I'm telling you, a 300-pound woman hanging upside down doing anti-gravity yoga was quite the sight, I'm sure. But I decided that wasn't for me. But if you can see behind me, I do have on my squat rack
I noticed
thing
those.
to do anti-gravity yoga. So it's a lot easier now. But find something you love. I went to Zumba classes, and I went to whatever they are, like cycling classes, and on a stationary bike.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't think of the word.
Spinning.
And spinning. Thank you.
Spin class. Yep.
And those things weren't for me. So, but I found that I love lifting. So, and it likes me. So I was lucky. But there's so many things out there that you can do, and whatever it is. And some things, what you can do with your kids. You can run with a kid in a stroller. You can put a child on the back of your bike. There's lots of things you can do still with kids. There's swimming, there's hiking, there's skating, skiing. My doctor told me the other day that she started skiing in her 40s for the very first time. So, there's just so many different things, and find the thing that you love.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I just want to, we are running out of time at this point.
Oh, wow.
I do. Yeah. I know this went fast. I have more questions, but
sorry, I probably talked too much.
No, these are all things that we want to hear,
perfect.
And these are all questions that people were asking. So I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And I do want to end off with one specific comment from a fellow Ontario bariatric fitness member, Anne, who says, "Erin, you are an inspiration to me." And I, on behalf of everyone else in that group, and hopefully everyone here on the waiting table, I 100% agree. Your story has been very motivational, inspiring to me. Because of where you've come from and how you've persevered and really been consistent with everything. So thank you so much for joining us on the waiting table.
Thank you.
Yeah. And everyone else, thank you so much for taking the evening with us and joining us on the Waiting Table podcast, where we're serving the weight loss community
1 pound at a time.
Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
Have a great night, everybody. Take care.